Welcome back Stalkers and welcome back to a new video. So today we have another major update for Stalker 2 from GSC, and this one is patch 1.3. Now they have done a lot with this update, and the actual patch itself includes over 1200 changes and improvements to all aspects of the game, from balance, story progression, performance, locations, audio and so much more. Now I took a bit more time to actually review this patch, so I spent a lot more time in the zone, and I was playing since yesterday to try to test out all of the things they talked about, and I of course tried to mimic some of the bugs they have for quests, but you know that's problematic because it's not easy to get a bug from another person or have a similar experience because many things can play a role in it. But I tried my best as much as I could, so let's go through the actual list. So first off, when it comes to AI, they made mutant movements during combat smoother, and that's something I experienced in the game as well. So some of the things that mutants were actually doing before is that they were constantly trying to go left and right, and that was causing some of the movement which wasn't really that good looking, and especially not enjoyable if you're trying to hit something with a sniper from long range. So it's a bit better now, like the actual movement is going to be going in one direction, and once they attack you, it's going to be easier to calculate where they're gonna be attacking you from. They also improved the reaction of NPCs to the sound of footsteps because, I mean, in general stealth can be a hit or miss in Stalker 2. Now, in the previous update that they released, they touched on the actual stealth mechanics a bit more and it was looking a bit smoother. Now, of course, with this, I noticed that in general, like, AI is going to react correctly, but at the same time, there were moments where, again, like, NPCs were able to find me, even though I'm pretty sure there was no way for them to hear me. Now, they also polished some of the ambush behavior for mutants when player is hiding behind or on top of the props. So, like, as always, if you go on something and you stand on it, the mutants are going to have a hard time getting to you. Now, that's still a thing, but I noticed that in some cases, if I go to like some more normal objects like a vehicle or maybe like a block of concrete, the enemies are going to have a much easier time to get to me even if they're not, able to jump. Now keep in mind, besides that, they made some of the other things in relations to how NPCs work and how they react, so that's a bit better, especially when it comes to you being in a safe zone and then that safe zone being kinda safe from mutant attacks, which wasn't really the case in previous Stalker games. That's also changed now, and I noticed one time when I was in garbage that for the first time as I've been playing this game, we got attacked by a pack of mutants. It wasn't anything special, like the situation was dealt with fast when it comes to like just AI guarding the, slag heap, but at the same time it's just good to see because it makes things more dynamic. Now they also added some missing SFX for mutants, so for example they added the missing SFX for Poltergeist shield ability activation, so you're going to see it a bit better. When it comes to the deer mutants, boar mutants and blind dog, you're going to see it a lot better and you're going to be able to react to it much better. This is good because they keep adding these details to mutants and how they work in the zone, which is ultimately going to help the game. But in general, a lot of good fixes to polish up everything which they have been working on before. Now of course there is still a lot of things that needs to be fixed and optimized and made a bit better, streamlined to be more enjoyable, but for the time being, when it comes to just mutants and Stalker AI in general, it's been a bit smoother now. When it comes to balance, they actually did a lot here, so if you're playing this game again after the patch, I suggest looking at your artifacts because some of them actually have been nerfed, so it's kind of funny. So let's go through it. So first off, we have Weird Water, which has decreased radiation protection now. We have Weird Nut, which increased bleeding degeneration speed, further slow down healing with equipped artifacts, so there is that. We have the Weird Flower, which increased smell masking effect, so that's cool. When it comes to, for example, Weird Kettle, a debuff received from consuming food is now not random and corresponds to specific type of food, so keep that in mind. That's very, very important. When it comes to armors, keep in mind that they buffed anomaly damage protection for science suits, and they slightly reworked anomaly damage for different anomalies, that being how it hurts you and all. So it's pretty much the same as it was before, but maybe some of the damage which I noticed, for example, in glass, maybe is giving me less damage than before, but you know, I'm not sure 100% about it. They also increased overall durability for unique weapons found during missions. They added additional gear around the map, so make sure if you're looking for it, you're gonna be finding more stuff now. They rebalanced anomaly damage for various armor types, so it makes more sense that the armor which you are using is going to correspond properly with how it's actually supposed to work, so that's good. When it comes to optimization and crashes, they fixed this. So first off, they fixed memory leak issues when navigating inventory looting menus, for example opening player stash at Rostock, and that was the problem which I also had. For now it's definitely a lot better because I've been having less and less crashes with each patch of the game. Now of course, a lot of people in the comments told me that they still experience crashes, but I can only vouch for my own playthrough in a sense. For optimization purposes, the hair quality has been changed to high in the epic preset because, well, it was probably streaming too much and lowering frame rate and also causing instability. The epic hair quality is still available for manual adjustment, so just make sure you only kind of do those things like putting things on epic right now before like proper optimization is that do it only if you have like a really good PC. Now also a dozen other optimization tweaks were made, they didn't really go into detail about it, and they said that almost 100 crashes and exception access violation errors were fixed. Basically that's something people get as soon as their game crashes, and this has been happening, you know, a lot for some people since the release. I mean, overall when it comes to general like just performance of the game, I can tell you right now, I mean, it's okay, it's been getting better and better. Now of course you still have kind of pockets in the zone from time to time where I saw my frame rate really dip in this sense, but when it comes to everything else, I think it is getting better. Like things are getting more streamlined, I think, within the engine, so the frame rate is, you know, pretty much as it was in that sense, but at least I'm getting much less inconsistencies with that frame rate throughout the zone itself. When it comes to under the hood changes, they actually fixed a lot here, especially when it comes to foliage and how it's loading on the map itself, as well as other things which I want to talk about. But because there is so much here, I'm just gonna be going through the biggest things, or well, things which I experienced myself. So they fixed the generic issues where wrong character name was used in subtitles for walkie-talkie dialogues. They added some missing animations for walkie-talkie dialogues and so on. Now they also increased the frequency of idle animations in dialogue, so that's also important just to make the scene a bit better and NPCs in general. They fixed the generic foliage related issues across the map, so that's good. A lot less things are just gonna be quickly popping in and out right now as you're approaching something, especially when it comes to level of detail, but it still tends to happen from time to time though. They added some missing sound effects for environmental visual anomalies. They fixed visible seams between adjacent terrain surfaces, so that's good. Just, you know, small things, details to make everything look better. They also fixed an issue where detector wells did not provide haptic feedback on artifact proximity, so just small things as well. Now, when it comes to the main storyline, there is also a lot of things here that people were reporting, not just in my comments, but something I've seen on Reddit and other forums as well. Now, because I don't want to spoil the game, because a lot of these like patch notes are heavy spoilers for the game, especially considering that a lot of people still haven't finished the game because they're waiting for everything to be fixed so they can have a better experience. I'm gonna be going through some of the things I had problems with in my own playthrough. So first off, they fixed an issue where the marker about available quests did not appear on Captain Senkevich NPC, so this is actually something I had. Now also they fixed an issue where the dialogue with representative and s.t.a.l.k.e.r did not start while a mission is active during Visions of Truth mission. I also had this issue. They also fixed an issue where a forced dialogue with Icarus guard was able to start after a player had already reached Icarus, also a problem which I had. And besides that, I mean, I tried to mimic some of these bugs and issues. I wasn't lucky to be able to do it even after reloading the saves a few times, but if you do have problems with some of the quests, I suggest going through the full patch notes, not the one on Steam, where they go into detail about everything regarding those missions. So when it comes to the zone itself, and especially interactable objects and the zone experience, as they said here. They polished the sound effects for interaction with movable objects. They fixed an issue where a trap grenade was exploding even if player picked it up before triggering fire, which was funny. They also polished some ladder climbing animations. They fixed an issue where vortex arc anomaly sound effect was not obstructed in the underground tunnels nearby. So just small things which a lot of people have been noticing, but they don't really cause major issues to the game, just, you know, things that you can polish around. Now, also important, if you are using wider monitors, they fixed an issue where interaction dots and hints were misplaced when the game was running at 21.9 aspect ratio in Full HD or 2K resolution, so that's also been fixed. Now, they also increased damage from destructible explosive props, so just keep that in mind, don't get close to one. When it comes to player gear and player stay, they fixed some of the clipping issues that some of the equipment had in the game itself, and they also improved some sound effects, for example, once you drop ammo magazines while reloading and so on. Now, of course, keep in mind when it comes to reloading, that's pretty much the same still. I still wish that it wouldn't really interrupt reload if we start sprinting, but it is what it is for the time being. And also on top of that, they added new dead screen pictures, so that's gonna be a lot of fun once you get mauled down by a mutant randomly now in the zone, because A-Life is working a bit better now. Now, also keep one thing in mind. When it comes to A-Life encounters, they have been lowered a bit because they were kind of being too much in previous patch. To be honest, I didn't really notice that things were kind of too much in my previous playthrough, or while playing with the previous patch prior to this one. So, I mean, right now I've been noticing slightly again, which the same problem is happening as before, is that I'm getting less and less of those encounters. Maybe, just maybe, they kind of nerfed this a bit too much, and maybe in the next update they could increase it a bit more, just because I noticed that in some areas that I had like encounters before, even though like of course encounters can be random, but in areas I noticed a bit too less of those encounters than before, and I think it's not really going in that right direction, at least when it comes to that. Now, of course, besides the usual, they added some tutorial messages and fixed some of the ones which were already present in the game, just to make the experience better for all of the new players who are entering the zone now, because these things tend to be overlooked if your like development is fully focused on polishing and optimizing everything. So I'm really glad that they're, you know, focusing on this as well. When it comes to music, they also added new night music for S.t.a.l.k.E.r, so keep that in mind. If you are in S.t.a.l.k.E.r and you hear something new, that's going to be that new music which they added, which is really nice. It seems they have been adding a lot of things to kind of fill up the gaps, so I hope some of the next things they think about is going to be mutant loot, because as far as I know, at least in the files, the modders were actually able to find some of the pictures which were related to the feature which was never released. So hopefully that's going to be the case, you know, something added in the future, because it was working really well in the previous Stalker game when it was introduced, so I don't really see a problem with this, you know, being available in Stalker 2 as well. Now, of course, there are a lot of like minor things here which would take me about 3 hours to go through, and it would make this video really boring because it would be just me, you know, reading through all of the patch notes. So after testing everything, as I said, and going through some of the things which I mentioned here, I mean, the experience is definitely getting better. I still think that it's gonna take a few more patches until, you know, things start looking even better in that sense, but there is definitely a lot of improvement, just polishing some of the areas which were causing headaches to people who were, you know, kind of pushing throughout the main story or just trying to see what happens at the end. Usually a lot of them encountered a lot of technical issues, especially when it comes to progressing through the game itself, which was even blocked. So that's been going good. They have been really working hard on this, and what they've been saying before, like, you know, they're gonna start working on the game, they're gonna make it as best as they can, especially after turning profit on Stalker 2. I think they're really keeping their, you know, promise, and things are gonna be looking really good in the future once they start releasing some DLCs which they have been mentioning before, and well, everything else which is going to be happening here, because I think if they start doing more of these updates and if people really see, oh yeah, the experience is now a lot better, I think more people are gonna start coming back to this game to play it more and to just basically finish it if they haven't already. So this was my review of patch 1.3 for Stalker 2. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button for more. Also, let me know down below in the comments if you had any new issues arise when you downloaded this patch, or maybe things are looking worse or better for you. Just let me know down below in the comments. Now also, it's a bit tricky when it comes to these updates, because for some reason something on GOG happened and I had to re-download the entire game again, so like full 120-30 something gigabytes. So that was pretty rough, and especially when it comes to these updates, they tend to overwrite a lot, but that means because you're overwriting a lot, you're gonna be downloading huge updates for this game. So yeah, it's been rough when it comes to this, but at least I'm glad they have been fixing the game. Also, as I said, check us out on Twitter and Discord, and huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. This is s.t.a.l.k.e.r signing out, and as always, I will see you next time. Now, get out of here, Stalker.